First things first, I want to give a shout out to Melissa. Onaya and Onaya. A lot of pressure out there. A lot of pressure up there. But we're going to jump right into it, all right? So the theme, first of all, let me give a shout out to my leaders. Bishop, my mom, my grandma. Without y'all, I wouldn't even be here. So I appreciate y'all for y'all grace. The title is A More Excellent Way.
Yes.
So to understand a more excellent way is to be great or to begin to be great. So in other words, in looking for a more excellent way, we must all strive for greatness in all areas of our lives, in everything that we do. So if you play basketball like me, you want to be the best at it. If you're doing hair, you want to be the best hairdoer. That's how you strive for excellence. Even if it's school, we should try to be the best student as possible. The point is, we must always strive to be more than average.
Amen.
Or, in other words, we must strive for excellence. This involuntary act of striving for greatness will create for us a more excellent way. How do I know this? Well, for one, I know that our big God, doesn't make small people.
Amen. Woo! Come on now. Talk about it.
Right? So in knowing this, we also are aware that God created us in his own image, correct?
Amen.
So in knowing this, we all know that us humans have something in us that is directly given to us from God himself. So guess what? I want you to turn to your neighbor and tell them you're qualified.
You're qualified.
This is what qualifies us off the rip. We qualified off the rip. We qualified. But here we go. The problem with a more excellent way or greatness is that even with your God-given talents and your abilities that God has given to you, it's going to take work. Right? So the problem that I see with greatness or a more excellent way is that a lot of us, and I'm going to say it for myself because I'm guilty of this sometimes, a lot of us people believe that excellence is a luck thing. We're waiting to get lucky when it comes in terms of excellence. And I have an analogy that I read in a book. It's actually this book. It's called Stop Waiting for Permission. And the author is Stephen Chandler, one of my favorite reads. And in the book, he has a quote. He went to, he broke it down like this. So an analogy I'm going to use is, let's say we're going out to eat, right? You and your significant other, y'all want to go out to eat at this 5-star restaurant, correct? But you haven't made reservations. You show up to the restaurant in hope and belief to expect something, but you didn't make reservations. So there's no seat there for you. This could all be avoided if you call ahead and reserve your seat. Excellence works the same way. We got to reserve our seat when it comes to excellence.
Yes.
So if we call ahead and make that reservation, there will be a seat at the table with your name on it. So my next point though, because this is a problem that I see in our generation. There's absolutely nothing wrong with striving for greatness. There's absolutely nothing wrong with striving for greatness. It's actually like God to want greatness for yourself. And guess what? Guess what? I have biblical proof to back this up.
All right, come on, back it up, back it up.
It's found in Matthew chapter 20, right? So there's 2 disciples in Matthew chapter 20. One who goes by the name of James, the other by John, right?
Yeah.
And Jesus could have granted them anything they wanted. These are 2 disciples that walked with Jesus throughout his life. So more than disciples, they were his friends. So they knew the power that he held, and he knew who they were to him, right? And he asked them, what is it that you desire from me? And the reason why I stopped at these two guys is because knowing who Jesus was and how powerful he was, these two dudes didn't ask for fame, fortune, health for their family, prosperity. You want to know what their answer was? And this is going to tie into itself. Their answer was to Jesus, give me a seat in your kingdom right next to you. Now, I just want y'all to stop and think about that for a second. They didn't ask him for better health. They didn't ask him for wealth. They didn't ask him for a marriage. They didn't ask him for, they asked him specifically for the best seat next to you. But wait, hold on, because there's irony in this whole text, right? There's irony in this whole text, right? So, the irony in the passage for me was that it's not how brave and bold James and John was in asking God what they asked. The revelation that I got out of this text, and forgive me, but this is how I broke it down, is that Jesus gives his two picky, because they were choosy, disciples, he gave them a response. But before we get into that revelation, we got to understand something. In this specific text, James and John, as bold as that question was, they weren't bold enough to go ask Jesus themselves. This is the irony in the text. This is where it gets funny. But I need y'all to understand something. So they sent their mother. They sent their mother to go ask Jesus about this request. So I just want y'all to take a second and think about that for a second, right? So they're bold enough to ask Jesus for this seat, but not bold enough to ask them themselves, right? So I stopped right there. It took me about 2 days to pass this part in the text because I was dumbfounded at the fact that they were bold enough to know what they wanted, but not bold enough to know how to go about it, right? So what did I come out with from that? And this is going to be very relatable to us as well. Give me 1 second. Why couldn't they ask Jesus themselves, right? So you ask that. When I read the text, all I could draw from it was what we go through. I think they were ashamed of their own ambition. Ashamed that what they desired was too much. That sounds familiar, doesn't it? Very familiar. But listen to this. That's when we wonder, am I even allowed greatness? Isn't it up to God anyway, to me, for just to accept what he gives and be grateful for that? But this is why we got to read the text. The answer is right there in that passage, right? Jesus didn't get angry at James and John for their specific request or for how they went about it. The irony in this text is in the answer. He literally gave these two a play-by-play. If you into sports, you know what a play-by-play is. That's literally step-by-step of how to do something, right? So Jesus tells them that they can have greatness, but they will have to work hard for it. Pay the price, they can have it if they're willing to follow his lead. Sacrifice by drinking from his cup. Wow. He didn't chastise them or rebuke them for being conceited or wicked, but he didn't mock them for being fishermen with delusions of grandeur. But in this specific request made, where do you think humanity steps in? Because it's 12 disciples, not 2. So now I want to talk to the human sides of us. They were 12 disciples, not 2. In this passage, I'm talking about 2. So what goes on with the other 12, with the other 10, when they find out about these specific requests? This is humanity. So biblically, it's in the Bible, in the text. The other disciples were mad. They felt that James and John were beyond themselves. How dare them ask our Jesus for a special seat? Who do you think you are? And this is how we are with humans. But listen to this. knowing that desiring a more excellent way and greatness in areas of your life will ruffle feathers.
Yes.
But keep going. God got you. Greatness takes time to attain. To attain greatness is simple. You just got to keep showing up. And because it takes time, and this is my closing remark, y'all. And this is the biggest part of it all. I want everybody to catch this. Greatness takes time. And because it takes time, we have to give ourselves grace for this journey.
That's it right there. Grace.
And listen, I want y'all to understand why I say that. Jesus has come to offer grace. The excellent way is grace. No judgment, but grace. Not criticism, but grace. Not fear, but grace.
Come on,
Not
sir.
your truth, because there's only one truth, and that's the grace. Accept it. In my closing statement, I would like to take y'all back to the cross. And the reason why I ask y'all to give y'all grace is because I'm going to take you back to I got a revelation from the cross. Right before Jesus died, there was something that he said specifically to his Father. And it was, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. Now, hold on. Before I close, that took me somewhere. So I want to break down what I got out of that. Jesus isn't God. The only way to God is by Jesus. The reason for that is Jesus was in our skin at one point. He felt how we felt.
Yes.
Mary Magdalene washed his feet with her tears. He felt for his mother Mary while she wept for him on the cross. So as he looked up and said that, what he was going through was emotions. He feels for you. He felt so. But the reason why he said that is because he knew that he was leaving. But he was leaving us in a place that was messed up.
Yeah.
So he looked to his Father, the only person that can fix this, and said, you have to give them grace. Give yourself grace, man.